Scanning for audio.
Welcome once again to the Tin Dog Podcast, this time covering Main Range from Big Finish, number 200. Yes, who would have thought all those years ago, when I was sat listening to, well, the first Maggie Stables story, Marrying Conspiracy, that it would end up like this for me. Yes, I've got every single one of the main ranges and I've enjoyed them all enormously, some more than others, as can only be expected. But this is number 200. It also marks the end of the Locum Doctors trilogy. And let's face it, there's got to be a reason behind why current Doctors are coming across past Doctors' companions and replacing them in space and time. It's a bit confusing, but that's fine. Because, well, there's your real issue with this review. I don't want to give away spoilers. It's pointless, and let's face it, number 200 has only just arrived, so if I was to say something, that would give away far too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this review in two parts. This side of the trailer will be me talking in general about the storyline, and that is where you should stop, because this is a fantastic story. On the other side of the trailer, well, that's where I'll be discussing spoilers. So I warn you now, this story is so much more enjoyable, just like the rest of the trilogy, if you don't know what's coming. That is your warning. So let's talk at great length about how brilliant this story is, because let's face it, it is pretty good. Peter Purves, who I met at Hooverville a few years ago, is a pretty good actor. Underrated, because when we were growing up, in our heads, he was a Blue Peter presenter. He was a presenter from Crufts. That's what we knew him for. And because that's what we knew him for, that's what we'd always had him down as. And that's not very clever. It's not very forgiving, and it's just wrong. People have got more than one talent. Purves was always a good actor, and he was a very good companion. But because most of his stories are missing, or at least a large chunk of them, we don't get to experience that. Yes, The Gunfighters is so much better than Fanned Wisdom ever had it down as. And The Meddling Monk? Pretty good story. But no, we just didn't have a lot of his stories hanging around. Which is a bit sad, really, isn't it? So Stephen and Vicki, companions of the First Doctor, get to experience the Fifth Doctor, the older, more fretful Peter Davison. And hey kids, what was the First Doctor's time known for? Historical stories. Oh yeah. Now I know that Nick Briggs has a whole thing in his head where if historical stories are done correctly, then they are as alien as Ellie, Alien World, would be. And he's got a point. But part of me will always be one of the sons of JNT, which will be, where's the monsters? Where's the monsters? I need them. And there are some here, so don't hold that against me. So, because there are monsters included in this almost purely historical story, we've got something that's been crowned or christened the pseudo-historical. Because let's face it, you couldn't have a purely historical story, not and something messing about with time. Something messing about with time. Almost but not quite a spoiler, because on the grounds that you're dealing with the Fifth and First Doctors swapped, you're going to be knowing that there's something going on with a lot of power. And which bit of historical fiction is this? Well, it's the Roman Empire. Yes, we know the First Doctors visited the Roman Empire, but this is hundreds of years later. Big empire, lasted a long time. This is the decline. This is when the Goths turn up. And yes, there are far too many samples of people taking the mick out of the Goths that I could use for a variety of podcasts for almost forever. And yes, story-wise, it's largely over by episode 3 in order to reset time, but that borderlines on spoiler territory. So yeah, a very short review, if you're not hanging around for the spoilers. Suffice to say that this does not let you down at all. It's tremendously well acted, tremendously well thought out. It is delivering. It delivers of the fact that it's show 200, story 200. We know it's not story 200. We know that there are far too many other stories hanging around. But this is number 200. And it is, well, telling that we've got brilliant storylines using fantastic actors that we've never managed to use with current Doctors. The last 3 stories have been simply brilliant. I would love Stephen revisited. I want more Vicki, and they're things that I need to experience with modern or indeed any Doctor. I'm not completely sold on recasting actors to play Doctors, but if we still get to have Stephen turn up, that's fine. And I, for one, would be very, very happy with something like, say, the 6th Doctor meeting Stephen after he'd left in The Savages, years later, where he's ruling, and playing his own current age. That could be brilliant, because then you've got an old man, no offence, Peter, wandering around the universe with a Doctor that we all kind of dig. So, I shall now bid you farewell, and see you on the other side of this trailer.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions.
Men of Ravenna, I demand your immediate surrender. I am Flavius Belisarius of the Imperial Roman Army, and I take this city in the name of the Emperor Justinian.
Doctor Who, The Secret History.
At this moment I can remember how this whole journey turned out because I've lived through it before. But as soon as I step out of the TARDIS, the timelines will change. It'll be me who does all this, and I won't remember what happened the first time around because it won't have happened yet.
I didn't expect this.
There he is, the blonde one.
You're quite sure this Doctor is a Persian spy?
Why should she want to tell people I'm a spy?
Perhaps she's a witch.
Does the weight of history rest on the Doctor's shoulders?
Yes. Yes, it does. There's someone in there. Someone who's gone missing from the world.
What have I done? Vicki. Stephen. It's, very good to see you.
Who are you?
I'm the Doctor.
The Doctor?
Subscribers get more at bigfinish.com.
You didn't press stop, did you? You really want to know all of these spoilers? Well, I did warn you. We all know who the villain of the piece is. Let's face it, all of the pieces were there in front of us. We have time travel, so therefore that's going to knock several people out of the loop. You've still got the Cybermen and the Daleks, but what's the point of replacing Doctors? So it's got to be someone a bit more Time Lordy, or even one of the Eternals, or somebody like that. The Guardians, perhaps, trying to change history. That was where the clever money was. But the really clever money was something to do with a meddler. Now, the problem with having the meddling monk as the villain of the piece is that Graham Garden's meddling monk has been dealing with the 8th Doctor. To get interactions with an earlier incarnation is something that, well, the fans have been going on about the Master for a while. Out of politeness, the 5th Doctor meets the last. Basically, everyone meets everyone in order when it comes to time travel. Big Finish have been veering away from that, for practical reasons when it comes to the Rani, because the 2nd Rani, we'll call her that, although it's probably not the case, has met the 6th Doctor before the 1st Rani has met the 7th. These things are becoming more and more, let's use the word fashionable. But the monk's storyline in, well, let's not go there. But let's face it, he has met the 8th Doctor. And he's been having some serious issues with his time with the 8th Doctor. It is quite cross with him. That's an understatement and a half. So, we have a quite cross meddling monk. And indeed, in this story, it's actually said that the only person who calls him the monk is the Doctor. Now, we've heard him called Mortimus in Big Finish. We've heard him called various names. Quintus is the name he gets called here, and Mortimus is one of the ones used in the Virgin novelisations. Either way, I'm quite happy to go with either. In my head, he's called Mortimus, but only because, well, that was one of the things I came across first. So, he's trying to mess with time, literally by going back and messing with the doctors, and, well, replacing him. He wants to be the Doctor. He wants to live the Doctor's life and replace him and become someone who makes things better. But let's face it, he makes things worse just by turning up. A very, very long time ago, perhaps my first girlfriend, her grandmother used to say about her grandfather that he could make a room messy just by walking into it. Well, the monk can destroy timelines just by turning up and having a bright idea. He wants to make things last longer, make things better. He wants to use his times for entertainment as well as good. And that's where his problems lie. The Doctor understands the importance of the webs of time, and that's going to make him a little bit boring. The monk, however, is just a lord of chaos. It's a brilliant story, a fantastic conclusion, and superbly acted. You can't get better. It is a worthy 200th edition. So I'm going to say farewell, let you go away and listen to it one more time, because I loved this. Big Finish, I salute you. And here's to another 200 stories. And hopefully the Tin Dog will be around to witness every single one. So until next time, when we're going to be talking about Doctor Who. But there's something else coming. Yes, I've not told you about this, have I? Some time ago, I asked you what I should cover. I got many, many emails, and one of the things that was mentioned by a lot of people was that I should cover Big Finish doing Blake 7. Other people just wanted me to cover Blake 7. I had received the box set for Christmas after all. So, over this summer, I have decided to do a summer of Blake 7. Not, as I thought originally, doing one podcast every day where I do a short podcast about every single episode of Blake 7. No, that's not fair on you or me. Although I would enjoy watching every episode of Blake 7, it would destroy my family. No. The first season will be covered this entire summer, every few days, as well as my Big Finish and Doctor Who reviews and news. They'll still be along your way. But this will be the summer of Blake 7 Series 1. So, if you see Blake 7, turn up on your feeds. It will be a short but sweet review of every single story from the first season throughout this summer, just to keep us occupied. So join me as we watch and rewatch Blake 7 Series 1. Hopefully I'll cover the rest when I get round to it, but I thought that would get us through the summer. If you don't agree, email me. If you do agree, email me at the usual address. So until next time, be seeing you. On the 5th of September 2015, Hooverville will return. The biggest little Doctor Who convention in the whole of the UK is proud to present several fantastic guests. First off is the Colin Baker, a man who needs absolutely no introduction. Guests also include the author Jenny Colgan, responsible for Dark Horizons and Time Trips, Richard Marson, the man behind JNT, The Life and Scandalous Times, and the brand new book Drama and Delight, the biography of Verity Lambert, Dan Starkey, the man behind the mask when it comes to Commander Strax, and of course Ian the Elf in the Christmas special, Terence Dix, one of the men behind the Third Doctor and more Target novelisations than you can shake a stick at. The actor David Benson, from Robot of Sherwood, Iris Wildtime and the Scarifiers. Matthew Waterhouse, yes, Adric. Michael Pickwood, the current production manager on Doctor Who. And Karen Louise Hollis, author of The Man Behind the Master, the biography of Anthony Ainley. More guests may be added, but either way, that's a fantastic lineup. Visit the Derby Quad website on www.derbyquad.co.uk and follow the links. Saturday the 5th of September 2015. See See you there. You've been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast, available on RSS, iTunes, Stitcher, Audio Boom and Tumblr. Doctor Who and its associated works are copyright of the BBC. No infringement is intended. You can contact the show, donate, buy merchandise or find out more about my other projects by visiting the Tin Dog Podcast homepage and clicking on the links. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.